Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at Leafage and Liquidation for the new season of Go Battle League. We're only going to take a look at those two moves and all the Pokemon that get those moves because like the move update is so gigantic that I'm going to split it up in two parts. Today we're going to see Leafage and Liquidation and what they most likely can do. We don't have these stats directly, but we can assume them. And tomorrow we're going to take a look at all the other move updates as well on my channel. It's just a lot of effort to put those in here, so please leave a like if you appreciate the effort. It's a lot of work. So let's take a look at Liquidation. Liquidation going to be most likely, it's going to be a 70 power move. We don't know the defense drop chance here. I'm assuming it's going to be a crunch clone here. So what I did here, I went just for the move that has 70 damage and has also a chance to debuff the opponent's defense, which is going to be crunch, and cloned it as a water type for today's video here, which is the most likely scenario which is going to happen here. It's going to be, I don't think there's a way that this is going to be a 40 energy move. It would be definitely way better with that, but of course 45 is the most reasonable option here, and of course crunch is basically a prime example of what it could be. Let's take a look at the first Pokemon. We're going to have a Goldock in the Great League. We're going to see the moveset on the left side there, and also on the right side then the actual P-Poke rating for it. What you're going to see here is that Liquidation is going to allow you to beat now the Galarian Stunfisk with a normal variant, but in general going to lose the coverage against flying type Pokemon, so it's most likely not as beneficial for Goldock to have this move. There are going to be other Pokemon though where it's going to be beneficial. Goldock in the Ultra League, it doesn't really seem too much better here either, as you're going to see. Like there are some Pokemon that you can beat now with the Mandibuzz, for example, in the normal variant, like without the Shadow variant. But in general, it does not seem to be the craziest upgrade. You can use it, but you don't have to use it. Ice Beam also gives you good coverage for Dragon-type Pokemon, for example, that a Water-type moves wouldn't really hit. But of course, Goldock is not the best Pokemon, but Yugong might be the best Pokemon. Yugong is one of those Pokemon which, like a lot of people are looking forward to, and it's not only going to get Liquidation, but also Drill Run. And Drill Run going to be the best thing for this Pokemon, because now you're going to have a viable option to hit those Steel-type Pokemon, which usually would hard-wall you, while also Drill Run cannot hit flying type Pokemon. But I mean, you're an ice type, you have Ice Shard, you have Icy Wind, both moves going to be very, very beneficial here for you to beat those flying type Pokemon, as well as also grass type Pokemon, which you wouldn't really be able to hit with a Drill Run. So you're going to have a perfect coverage combination here with Icy Wind as well as Drill Run for this Pokemon. It's basically going to be similar to something like a War Rain, but maybe even a little better because you have a little bit more bulk and you can debuff the opponent's attack. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see this Pokemon quite often in upcoming PvP tournaments. It's going to be a very strong Pokemon. Most likely not with Liquidation though. Like, I don't think that Liquidation is going to help this Pokemon too much. You can run it, as you can see here, the third line going to be the Liquidation plus Icy Wind, but Drill Run plus Icy Wind just does make a little bit more sense than the double step variant there, but Liquidation can be maybe a little bit better for certain cups, so like it's definitely still a good option here, definitely going to be benefiting from this better than Water Pulse or Aqua Jet would otherwise had. Otherwise, we're going to have Cloister here. Cloister going to be kind of similar to the already before shown variant of the Yugong there. This time around here, Ice Shard, Icy Wind, and Liquidation. Doesn't get Drill Run or anything like this. Going to be definitely better than Hydro Pump here, but it's not going to be as good because you're missing a little bit of bulk here. But the benefit of this Pokemon is you can use it in the Open Ultra League. As you're going to see here already, for the Open Ultra League, you're going to have now the beneficial matchup against the Charizard. But you're actually going to lose against Swampert, which is, I guess, like, yeah, you have to bait first and then going to hit this. It's just going to be a little bit more consistent than Hydro Pump, which is going to be definitely a little bit better. Of course, you have now the chance to both debuff the defense as well as the attack of the opponent with Liquidation or Ice Shard, which is going to with Icy Wind, which is going to be very decent for this one as well. But taking a look at the next one now, we're going to see also some downsides of those updates. There are going to be quite a few Pokemon where it literally doesn't make sense. Ogre Tail is just better. Like, Ogre Tail is just better than Liquidation. It's just a faster move to get to. You have Water Gun, which you don't really get too much energy generation from it. Sadly, Vaporeon still lacks a secondary charge move that's going to give it more coverage. Liquidation doesn't really help this Pokemon. Ogre Tail going to be the way to go, plus Last Resort. Next Pokemon here is going to be Armaldo, which is also going to get Liquidation. But Liquidation for Armaldo doesn't really help this Pokemon at all because the moveset itself is just so bad. You would need a Fury Cutter buff to do anything with this Pokemon. You need like something like a Rock Slide for it as well. And then you might be able to talk about Armaldo in any kind of league. But right now we can just skip this Pokemon because sadly Fury Cutter and Rock Blast just don't cut it. And the additional move there of Liquidation doesn't really help you too much here. Next Pokemon, Floatzel. kind of similar. Floatzel doesn't have any coverage move. It has Swift as the best coverage move forward, so nobody really would run this. Liquidation is better than Aqua Jet for sure. Like, it's definitely going to help this Pokemon, but this Pokemon still will not have any play at all in any league, especially as it's a very squishy Pokemon. It's very attack weighted because it's a very speedy Pokemon in the main series games. So yeah, Floatzel will never be good in PvP anyway. This is like kind of like a Boom Burst update where this Pokemon doesn't really get an update at all. Same goes for Samurott. Samurott already knows the move Hydro Cannon, which is just most likely cheaper for 5 energy, more damage for 10 damage, and yeah, of course doesn't have the secondary charge move or like effect there with the debuff potential there, but still Liquidation just cannot compete with Hydro Cannon. Like, nothing can really compete with Hydro Cannon. It's honestly most likely the best charge move in the game. So yeah, we can just skip this one as well. There's not really any benefit for running Liquidation on this Pokemon. Same goes for Caracosta, kinda. Like you see here already, you're going to lose quite a few more matchups now because you just don't get to the move as fast. Surf is, I think, 60 damage for 40 energy, while Liquidation is 45 energy and 70 damage, so you do a little bit more damage per energy, you have the secondary chance, but you just don't get as fast towards that move. So, like, again, Surf is not a bad charge move, and so Caracosta doesn't really need this next charge move of Liquidation. You can use it, it's not a bad move on it, but it doesn't really help you too crazy either. Beartic goes kind of the same, you see here already. It also would learn Surf, has the move Powder Snow as a fast move. It is just pure Ice as a typing, so also doesn't really benefit too much from it, but again, it's not going to help it out too much. Same goes for Electros. Electros has Crunch, which is basically Liquidation, but with a different typing, but usually a little bit better for offensive damage than Liquidation. Like, water type in general is more like a defensive typing. Doesn't really benefit too often as like an offensive typing. Of course, you have some ground types in the meta, like the Galarian Stunfisk, but otherwise, like, there's not a lot that you really hit with water type moves. So Crunch just does help you out quite a bit more, so even for Electros, it's not really the preferred move to go for. Let's take a look at the next one. We're going to have Golisopod. This is going to be also the final one that's going to learn this charge move of Liquidation, and Golisopod going to help out, like, gets definitely an upgrade with this one. It still needs an upgrade for Exeter. Like, Exeter is still a very bad charge move, like, you really need, like, a damage, like more damage for Exeter, like give it like plus 10 damage or something, and we can talk a little bit more about this Pokemon. But right now, while the typing is very nice, the bulk is not really there for the Great League, so we can take a look at the Ultra League as well later on. It might be having some, like, maybe it can be something good in like a Premier Cup for the Master League, but I'm not sure about this one. For the Ultra League, it can definitely be now a little bit better. Having more options to hit Pokemon like a Charizard now as well with Liquidation, definitely going to be beneficial for this Pokemon for the Ultra League. But yeah, it's not going to be as crazy yet because we still need something better than Exeter. Exeter is very, very bad as a charge move, to be fair. So we can go ahead and go to the next new move that got added, which is going to be Leafage. Leafage going to be 6 damage for PvP, 9 damage for PvE, and this is exactly the same as Bullet Punch and Shadow Claw. You see me here on the right side also putting Leafage as a Hex variant in there, but I didn't really use it later on because yeah, like, honestly, because Hex itself does in PvE 10 damage, which doesn't fit then to Leafage, so it is way more likely that Leafage is going to be a 2-turn fast move, especially as we already have Bullet Seed, which would be kinda then the same as Leafage, so like, if it would be a 3-turn fast move, so it's more likely that it's going to be a Bullet Punch. I don't think it's going to be Feint Attack or anything like this, which it also could have been, of course. But damage-wise and energy-wise, I just went for Bullet Punch, which is 6 damage and 7 energy, so 3.5 energy per turn, which is pretty decent, to be fair. Shadow Claw would also be okay, but I don't think that they're going to make another Shadow Claw clone because it would be too strong. And let's take a look now at what Leafage can do with it like this. Snow in the little cup here, we're going to have the Element Cup on the right side, actually, because that was currently on PvPoke, which I could use. Otherwise, here we're going to see that it's going to be a little bit worse than Powder Snow. Powder Snow generates energy a little bit faster, which is going to be a little bit more beneficial for this Pokemon. So yeah, Snow most likely doesn't really want to have this fast move. But what does want to have this fast move might be the Abomasnow, but it really depends, because it really depends on the meta. The thing is, Abomasnow would be able to beat quite a few different Pokemon, like for example Galarian Stunfisk there, would have a little bit more damage output with this fast move as well against some other Pokemon. Thing is, you kind of lose your ability to beat flying type Pokemon with this one. So while it has some potential play here, I don't really think it's going to help this Pokemon out quite that much. So I'm most likely going to pass on this one here as well. We can take a look at the Ultra League as well real quick. And where we're going to see here as well that this Pokemon does not crazy benefit from having Leafage as a fast move. Maybe as a Shadow variant, as you're now going to be able to destroy Auroras. But honestly, it seems more like a little bit of a hindrance because the Pokemon that you were able to beat prior, you're not really able to beat now anymore. So I think Powder's still going to be the better one for this one, but there's still going to be better updates. Rowlet here, for example, going to be better in the Little Cup as well with Leafage compared to Tackle. Would also learn that Razor Leaf, maybe it would be a little bit better as well. Seed Bomb here, by the way, got nerfed, is already in the code here as well that I'm using. So like the Seed Bomb now, I put for basically a +5 damage increase, which also was definitely confirmed, and I made it to a 45 energy move instead of a 40 energy move, which is basically nearly guaranteed what it's going to be. I don't think they're going to make it a 50 energy move. So Seed Bomb going to be 45 energy now, and this is also what you're going to see here already on the screen, which is going to be nice. But if you want to see, of course, those other updates, maybe try to hit 500 likes on the video, I would appreciate it. Next Pokemon here going to be Dartrix, and this Pokemon going to get an insane buff. As you can see here on the left side here, we're going to have the second variant with Leafage, and the first with Razor Leaf, which is currently the best fast move that this Pokemon has. And you see on the right here already, it beats a ton of Pokemon now. It's a flying and also grass type Pokemon. It's not ghost typing like the evolution of it, it is flying and grass, which gives a double stab on both Seed Bomb as well as the Brave Bird as well. So you're going to have a lot of options here to knock out opponents, and it's going to make it a really cool, especially Cloister. Like this Pokemon going to be insanely strong for the Great League. Definitely something you could try to get better than the evolution. The evolution here going to have your Leafage and also something like Brave Bird, but Brave Bird does not stab anymore, so Brave Bird is going to do less damage, and you see already it's way worse. I also put in the option for Frenzy Plant here, as Frenzy Plant is going to come to this Pokemon eventually. But for this Pokemon, it definitely doesn't really look too crazy good here. Against Pelipper, I guess you can win later on with Frenzy Plant, but honestly, Leafage definitely going to be also kind of an improvement for this most likely, but right now it just needs a better charge move, to be fair. It needs something like Leaf Blade. If it gets Leaf Blade and Leafage, it would be very strong. Friendly Plant helps out a little bit, but Leaf Blade would be really what it needs here. For Ultra League for this Pokemon, you're still going to see it's going to be a little bit better here with the Leafage because you're going to get to the charge moves a little bit faster than compared to Razor Leaf. But it's not going to be as crazy either. It's not going to be anything that you really need to care about, but the pre-evolution going to be very nice. Final two Pokemon for today's video, and you see here already 30 minutes long. That's why I split up into two parts then for tomorrow. Tomorrow going to be the other updates. We're going to have Fomantis here. Now again, the Element Cup. We're going to see Fury Cutter against Leafage, and again, for the Element Cup, it seems like the Leafage might be a little bit worse than the Fury Cutter here, because it's very likely that Leafage doesn't generate 4 energy like Shadow Claw, but 3.5 per turn. So, yeah, most likely Fury Cutter just going to be better towards speed opponents, which is going to help you out quite a bit more here. Also, for this specific cup, there are a lot of grass type Pokemon where Fury Cutter just does super effective damage compared to a Leafage resisted damage, so showing that Fomantis most likely won't be the better Pokemon with Leafage in this meta, but maybe in a different Little Cup meta it might help out quite a bit. Final Pokemon where we have two options again for it, for the Great League as well as for the Ultra League, we're going to have Lurantis here. Lurantis is going to now be able to beat Pelipper, which is going to be an interesting one here as well. And honestly, I think that's going to help this Pokemon out quite a bit, because you're going to do just way more damage with a fast move alone, because Fury Cutter is a pretty bad fast move in terms of damage output, but Lurantis is a pretty like attacking Pokemon, and you have Leaf Blade and Superpower, so I feel like that this update going to make Lurantis way better in the Great League as well, and also in the Ultra League, and it was pretty decent before as well. So I'm really excited for this Pokemon. Definitely try to get one of those. Definitely a really cool one to have. And also for the Ultra League, for the final one today, we're going to see that it's going to be a little bit worse here, it seems like it. But yeah, for example, Goslot would get super effective damage from Fury Cutter, that's why you lose against this one, and against Cobalion. You generate energy a little bit slower, which doesn't allow you to go for the superpower, but still I feel like the extra damage, especially in the Great League, will help you out quite a bit. I feel like that the Ultra League is not really that nice for grass type attacks in general, as you see here with a lot of Charizards, Goslot, Virizion, the Trevenant, the Giratina, a lot of Pokemon that really resist grass-type moves. Basically, nearly everything resists grass-type moves here other than the Pokemon on the bottom that you actually beat. So that's why it looks like that. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Did you enjoy this video? If you did, please leave a like on the video and also tell me in the comment section what I can do better for this format. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, of course. And I see you tomorrow for the rest of the move updates. See you then. Bye-bye.